Welcome back to the Hog Style. Lots to talk about. Redskins came out strong in the first half today and then fizzled worse than Democratic hopes on election night. Still hung on enough for the win, though. Big games from a couple guys that warrant shout-outs, and as we hop on the winner's wagon here, heading into next week's matchup against Green Bay. Hog Style's coming up. Don't go away.
Your host, Sean Conti.
And we're back. What's up, guys? Lots to talk about here. We got to talk about Preston Smith. I got to talk about Vernon Davis. Got to talk about Rob Kelly. So let's do that. But how are we feeling today, guys? Good stuff all around, right?
Can we just bask in the glory of Victory Sunday here for a minute? Because that was an important game for us. You know, it was an important game against a good defense. And so I just like to take a moment. Okay. Now I'm ready.
All right.
Now we can talk.
Well, I'll tell you why I'm
Moment
happy.
taken.
I'm patting myself on the back. I spent like 3 seconds creating a little picture that I'm posting every time we get a field goal now on Twitter, and that really came in handy in the second half.
Nice. I don't think I checked that out.
It's
all right, so we're feeling
special.
good about field goals, I guess. What else are we feeling good about, Steve? Do you want to hit us with like the stats up front, or should we like?
Let's
what do
get
you
those
do?
out of the way.
Yeah,
let's
give me
do
1
it.
second here because I was oddly enough not prepared. No, I am prepared. I have them here. All right.
What?
No.
Out of character.
No. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. I didn't write down the fourth quarter stats.
Uh-oh. While Steve is looking for fourth quarter stats, Sean, let me tell you a couple things that stood out to me, stats-wise.
Please
the
do.
new kid, Harris, number 13. Guys who wear 13 stand out to me because that was the number I wore playing basketball growing up in like middle school and early high school before I was the short kid. But anyway, Harris had 3 catches for 28 yards, and in one game, he's already surpassed Ryan Grant, who has 3 catches, 28 or 27 yards on the season.
All right.
So what can we tell the people at home, by the way, about this guy, Maurice Harris? I feel like this is a guy that most people probably aren't going to know a whole lot about. Probably haven't heard his name too much.
Yeah, I hadn't heard his name much before.
Well, the most important thing
last
is
week was
he's got
his
good
first start.
size. He's got good size. That's the most important thing. You know, he's got some interesting physical tools. You know, he got placed on the practice squad mainly because of a numbers thing. I think on some other teams, he might have gotten a shot at being active a little bit earlier than he was. You know, for us, I think if he develops, he might be. I mean, forget about the fact that we have Josh Doxson for a minute, but you know, with his size, he could be a more viable red zone threat than the guys we have. So that's in the less max out the capability of Maurice Harris bucket. We have a guy who could maybe be along the lines of like Alvin Harper, you know, for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. Big guy, can go down the field, can get a little bit more physical, use his height. You know, that would be, I think, the ceiling for Maurice Harris. And I have the stats now when you guys are ready.
Just so you know, his size is very comparable with Doxson. He's a 6'3", 200-pound guy.
Right.
So, you know, around the same physical size.
I don't think
can never have too many of those, especially on this team.
I don't think he can jump like Doxson can.
Oh, no. I mean, there's a reason he's I believe he was undrafted rookie.
Right. All right, you ready
right.
for the stats now? Sorry about that,
Yes.
guys. I was unprepared. We started the show pretty quickly before when I sat down.
Well, let me just finish up what my idea there. Screw Ryan Grant. He shouldn't be on the team. Harris should be our fourth guy.
How quickly the tides turn. Now, see, I haven't heard a lot of Ryan Grant hate before.
Really?
That might be a
'Cause
little
I do
harsh. By
nothing
the
but
way, this
Ryan
was
Grant
one. Really?
Oh.
I haven't caught on to that before
I haven't
with
been
you.
on the Ryan Grant hate train. I've been on the Ryan Grant mediocre train. You know.
Yeah, he's done. You know, he hasn't. It's not like he's gotten a ton of looks.
Yeah, I mean, he can't separate. And that's his problem.
He
Ryan
can't
Grant just
separate,
can't
and he drops
separate.
the ball all the time because he can't separate.
But he runs good patterns, you know. I mean, I don't know. All right.
He was one of those guys like 2 years ago people were much more excited about when there was a much bigger dearth of talent on this team, and now it's easy to forget about him. But sorry.
Yeah, he was like the
Yeah.
preseason wonder boy there for a while too, remember?
He's Leonard Hankerson with less talent is what he is.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Nice.
All right, stats. Kirk Cousins, 22 of 33, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7.9 yards per attempt. 110.9 rating.
Cool.
As a team, he rushed for 28 carries, 128 yards. Robert Kelly, 22 yards, 22 carries, 97 yards, 4.4 yards per attempt, long of 21. Got to be honest, I was rooting for him to get to the 100-yard mark there.
I think we all were a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was so close. Come on. Give him the honorary mark.
Chris Thompson, 4 carries, 25 yards, 1 fumble.
That was a big one, too.
Yeah. Jamison Crowder had that 1 carry early in the game, 1 carry, 7 yards. Pierre Garçon was our leading receiver today, 6 receptions, 81 yards, 13.5 yards per attempt, 10 targets. Vernon Davis, 3 catches, 66 yards, had that big catch early in the game, 38 yards.
Right.
Jordan Reed had a quiet day, 2 catches, 41 yards. Jamison Crowder, 4 catches, 37 yards. And by the way, Reed only had 4 targets, which is, I think, the low on the year for him.
He was on the sideline quite a bit, it seems like.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there's something going on that we just didn't know about.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they're just trying to keep him, healthy.
Maybe.
He was still the number 3 receiver on the day, even on a weird off day with few targets. Exactly. For context of those at home.
He was by yardage. Like Harris had 3 catches, 28 yards, and Chris Thompson 3 catches, 11 yards. So that was receiving. That was Redskins offense. What do we think,
Not
guys?
Yeah. I mean, the 2 guys I called out up front were Vernon Davis and Rob Kelly. I feel like we've got to talk a little bit more about them. I don't know. I mean, let's talk about Vernon Davis first. I don't know, unless you guys have another idea.
Go ahead.
Redskins tight end. What is it about this offense that Redskins tight ends are? Even when it's not Jordan Reed, our tight ends still seem to me the most productive unit.
The West Coast offense lends itself to tight end play. That's why they run shorter patterns. They can run the crossing routes. They Reed and Davis are both athletic enough to get a little bit of separation quickly. They're not going to go downfield. It's not Cam Newton and the Panthers. And so I think the tight end and athletic tight end is a perfect fit for West Coast offense, which is why we have 3 of them.
Right.
One being hurt.
And I think the emphasis on athletic tight end also has to be pointed out, too. I mean, you think back to the West Coast offenses of the 80s. Athletic tight ends were not the norm back then, so that kind of position was exceptionally rare to find when Joe Montana was slinging the ball.
Well, think about Dwight Clark.
Sure.
How important Dwight Clark was to the 49ers. And Clark, for back then, was a pretty athletic tight end. Think about the famous catch in the end zone, and what was that, maybe 1981? When he went so high up to catch the touchdown pass in the NFC Championship game.
Granted, that's 2 years before I was born, way before Sean was born.
Okay, well, you guys don't remember that then. Neither one of you somehow.
I was just nodding in agreement.
You have bad memories, I guess.
Well, let me ask you this then about tight ends, guys. So we have seen this year definitely the resurgence of Jamison Crowder, or this insurgence, I guess. Resurgence isn't really the right word. We've seen a huge uptick, obviously. Jamison Crowder having a great year.
A
couple other guys, just a surge is the right word. This guy, Demoris Harris, we see today. We've seen other guys. Just seeing how the season has gone offensively so far, do you expect to see a major overturn here in the wide receiver core next year? I mean, seems like we've got star power there, and they're just not really being used.
It depends how you define major overturn. To me, I think we all agree Jackson's gone. But he doesn't fit.
I feel like that's got to happen.
Garçon might come back at this point because I think he and Kirk have that good relationship. And, you saw it on those 2 slant passes today where Garçon and Kirk just seem to know, this is going to be there for us, and they hit it.
I'm going to take a progressive thought on that. I think that if the team sees Josh Doxson get well, and he's probably doing fairly well because his injury wasn't a crisis, No. So if the team in the
it was more of a let's shut him down precautionary kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So if the team sees him in, on the field and say early off season, whatever, to the extent they can see it, I might be tempted to let both Garçon and Jackson go because they're a lot of money, and I think it's pretty clear to everybody, even the most, the most casual fan would see that Jamison Crowder has become our leading receiver, at least in terms of the wide receivers. And yes, I agree with you, Alex, that Pierre and Kirk have a good connection, but I don't know if I'm willing to pay Garcon another $10 million a year for this. If you can
I don't
replace
think,
his production
he'll get $10
with
million.
Doxson. He's not going to take a huge pay cut, though.
Well, but what if no one else is off? Do you think someone else is going to offer him $10 million? Because I don't.
Minnesota. Do you think Minnesota could use a Pierre Garcon? I do.
I mean, maybe. I mean, Minnesota could use a whole lot of things right now. I don't think wide receivers are the top of their shopping list next year.
Running back, offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're right.
Quarterback, depending on Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I mean, if you're right, sure. I mean, if they could get Garcon for cheap, but I don't know if I would re-sign either Jackson or Garcon for big money. If they think Doxson can come back and develop.
I don't think it makes sense to sign either for big money. But if Garcon, let's say, is willing to take $4 to $6 million, maybe I might do that.
It's a much better price.
He provides a lot of leadership there. They said at one point in the broadcast, and Steve, I know you're watching in bars and can't really listen most of the time.
Yeah.
But they were saying how Kirk is so good at finding safety valves, and they're like, "Oh, Jordan Reed's a great safety valve. Crowder's a great safety valve. Garcon, we have all these safety valve receivers. That's really what our offense is at this point. It's a safety valve
who the
offense.
big threat is? The big threat is Deshaun Jackson, but we just don't know how to use him right. Kirk doesn't. Deshaun Jackson's strengths don't fit Kirk's strengths. They fit Kirk's weaknesses. Number one, and number two, just Jay Gruden's offense doesn't lend itself to proper use of a guy like Jackson. He's the elite talent of all those guys. I think he's the elite talent, but he just doesn't fit on the team very well.
See, I don't know if it's a Jay Gruden offense thing or if it really is just Jay curtailing the offense to what Kirk does. And we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
Where if you look at what Gruden did in Cincinnati, there was a lot of deep ball throwing because they had a quarterback with a stronger arm and a receiver that was really good at
lights out receivers,
But I think Gruden knows Kirk is a 15-yard to, slot, short pass kind of quarterback.
Yeah. That may be true.
Well,
go ahead, Sean.
Well, no, I was just going to say this brings up, maybe we should, is there anything we want to highlight about Kirk himself here, moving on from sort of the receivers?
Well, yeah. So one or two bad plays, but nothing, he had a clean sheet in the end. Did he,
no interceptions.
Did he have a sack,
fumbles.
or did he get sacked at all?
Yeah, he had one sack. I counted 2 bad passes for Kirk, which is good, and they were both deeper balls. The one sack was Danielle Hunter had the sack on him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Kirk had a good game because remember we said in the preview that the key to the game was minimizing Kirk's mistakes because of the way that the Vikings defense really wins by taking advantage of turnovers. And it wasn't
turnovers, and I said special teams was the other one.
Yeah,
and I think both we came through on both.
Yeah, and Kirk wasn't Kirk's most spectacular day from a stats perspective, but he had a really good game in that he played Kirk Cousins football and didn't screw it up.
66% completion rating.
That's good.
That's all you can ask.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford's stats weren't all that different than Kirk's. He had 2 more sacks, and he obviously had the interception.
Right.
But they had kind of sort of similar games. But it's remarkable to see how the turnout can be different. So do we want to talk about rushing a little bit? Should we talk a little Mr. Bobby Kelly?
Sure. Oh, Fat Rob. I'm Fat so Rob, happy I picked Fat Rob up in the last round of my fantasy football draft because he's saving my season right now.
Did you play him today?
I sure did.
Okay, so again, Steve already told us this, but 22 carries, about 100 yards. That's pretty freaking good. That's way more than anybody else
Supposedly
on the team, obviously, in carries today.
A record number of carries he's had in a football game, including college. That's what.
It might be Jay Gruden's record too, right?
Said.
Yeah, that's good, Sean. Yeah, it probably is Jay Gruden's record. The way he coaches. I think a good way to highlight what Rob Kelly does is if you take the long run he had from the 7-yard line, that was I think 21 yards maybe.
Something like that. Yeah.
That was his long.
If you look at when he reached the second level, he made one move that made I believe it was a linebacker miss when he cut to the left. And shook him. That is a cut that I don't think Matt Jones would make on a normal Matt Jones day.
No.
He's just a little bit more loose. He has more vision, and that play was kind of zone run-ish in that the offensive line all blocked to the left, and then Kelly cut back through the gap, kind of inside. He made a good, it was good vision, and then he made somebody miss in the second level. And that's what Rob Kelly can do. I think that was a very good. That was a good demonstration of what he can do for us against a talented
when I look at
defense.
when I look at Kelly, I mean, he's not a long stride runner. I don't think we're ever going to see him break away like an 80-yard run. Just if you look at how he runs, his feet move quickly, but they don't cover a lot of ground each step. At least that's what I kind of get a vibe.
Well, he's not a strider, yeah.
Yeah. He's not that strider. He's not going to get out in the second level and just burn everybody. But we need somebody who's going to be physical, and we have Thompson. Thompson can be that guy who might get the big breakaway play. So I think Kelly. I don't know if he's our long-term answer, but he's definitely our answer for the rest of the season.
Well, this was a tough challenge for him because the Vikings on D are like 6th in the league and have let up like 700 or something yards total on the season. So this was maybe not even the best measuring stick of what he can do necessarily, though I kind of agree with you in terms of general technique. I think John Kahn was saying something too on Twitter that, to your point, Steve, about Kelly being able to make those cuts that other guys on the roster might not actually be able to make. So.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope we see a continuation of this. What do you guys think about Matt Jones?
I mean, Matt Jones is done, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's that
what I wonder about Jones is was Gruden just frustrated with the fumbles, or did it extend to his play in general? He didn't really say. I got the impression from the media this week that it was sort of a fumble thing, but he didn't really come out and say it. So I really kind of would wonder, and we might not ever know what's in his head.
Yeah,
but what is it? Because I think they still see the potential in the guy. Because if you look at him, he looks like a Hall of Fame running back. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the bulk. But he just can't do it. So I really wonder it's like the team gave him a lot more leeway than I personally would have. Of course, they know 100 times more than I ever will. But I've always
and
wondered
they're around these guys all the time. So in terms of mindset and stuff, we'll never know what's going on in the heads of these guys. But I mean, I think you got to go with your hot hand at some point. And the one thing that I think a lot of fans agree with this, and Gruden's been pretty good about it, it's a meritocracy in the end. If you don't perform, you don't play. And Matt Jones wasn't doing it. Rob Kelly looks like he can at least get something going every once in a while. He'll have a 10-yard, 14-yard, big run. And then the ones that he doesn't get big runs on, he's at least getting 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's one thing that Jay Gruden has proved over the years, is that it is a meritocracy. If you go back to the Cousins-Griffin decision, I think he held on to maybe the dream of Matt Jones too longer than most fans would have, but at the end of the day, he made the move.
Sure.
I think in this game, I guess my one criticism was he did get away from the run a little bit too much in the first half. There were drives where
in that
we were
second quarter.
Yeah, he went all pass there for a while, and I mean it worked out. We won, so this is just nitpicking. But I would have liked to see them make a better effort to establish the run earlier in the first half. Where that could have set up the second half a little bit better. But again, that's nitpicking because we won the game and all's well. Don't misunderstand me.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else did we see in the? What else did we see?
On the
offense? Yeah.
I mean,
well, I think. Oh, well, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the offensive line I thought did really well given the injuries at tackle. That was the one thing that stood out to me too.
Everson Griffin.
The statistics bear that out.
Griffin didn't do anything on Ty and Secchi, basically.
Right.
I thought, and Kirk had a clean pocket.
Oh, that's a good thing. Good call.
I counted 5 pressures, on Kirk. Mm-hmm. It's not to say that's accurate, but it wasn't a ton. He only got hit once or twice the entire game, in the sack and maybe one more play. I thought the offensive line did a remarkable job considering how the Minnesota Vikings play. In the pregame was talking about how the Vikings blitz double. They send more than one person into the A gap, from the and none of it really worked against our line. So you got to hand it. You got to hand it to him.
Well, I'll point out 2 things. One, on those A-gap blitzes, there was one play where I think it was, I don't know if it was Kelly or Chris Thompson. They were blitzing the A-gap, and the running back blocked 2 linebackers at once, blocked them back into each other, basically. It was the play where Kirk threw the deep ball to Garcon that was missed, but it was still a heck of a block that I saw by the running back there. The other thing that I'll point out that I think helped with the whole offensive line was we did a lot more bootlegging than I think we usually do.
Sure did.
I mean, he always take an uptick in productivity when we do that.
Right. It's
obviously Kirk's comfort zone.
There were a few plays where Kirk was out there, nobody around him, and he was just standing there clean and taking deep shots. And I think that first touchdown, or that deep touchdown to Davis, was that kind of play, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. Yes, it was a boot play. Kirk does really well off the play action bootleg to the right. And he's most effective.
I think most guys do.
Well, but Kirk's really good. I think that's Kirk's strength, personally.
Oh yeah.
The play action bootleg to the right, it seems to be where we'd have to go look up stats to see this. But if I had to guess, I bet you he's got the highest completion percentage of any type of play on that. I bet you.
Probably.
And Jay does a good job of scheming people open in the flats on plays like that, and so it's a little dump off, and that's where you can get a lot of the yards after catch in plays like that. And it happened
unless
time
it's
and
Ryan
time.
Grant in the flat, then it's useless.
I think
Harsh,
Mrs.
man.
Grant's on the phone who wants to talk to you, Alex.
I don't care. Mrs. Grant should be ashamed of her son too.
Oh my God. Mrs.
All right,
Grant,
well,
we really don't hate.
We won't be getting him on an interview.
Yeah, we really don't hate you, Ryan Grant.
You guys can like go. I'm just done with them.
I didn't say I liked him.
All right, no.
I don't understand.
You're entitled.
What the coaching staff sees in him particularly, but
Right.
hey. And I also think, by the way, that Rashad Ross has played himself off the team somehow.
I don't know how. It's got to be
Yeah.
something he's doing in practice or something he's doing in the locker room.
I don't understand why
There's a lot of weapons on this offense.
I don't know why he's not getting a
Someone's
shot
got to
over
give
Grant.
somewhere.
Why doesn't he get a shot over Grant?
I don't know.
Like you said, there's got to be something we're not seeing behind the scenes that would lend itself, because we're not seeing anything impressive about Grant. So
I think
that
it's
should tell
naked
you
pictures
something.
of Jay Gruden or something. That's what I think it is.
Oh God, Jesus! Well, then he should be able to blackmail himself back onto the team in that case. All right, so should we talk about defense here then?
Let's flip-flop to the defensive side of the ball.
All right,
Let's
Steve,
do a
give us
flippity
some
floppy. So
highlights, or stat highlights.
stats. All right,
Yeah.
stats.
well, they suck on the run, and I don't think that improved today, right,
No,
Steve?
they hit their target pretty much on the run.
Nice.
All right, Sam Bradford had a good game statistically. 31 for 40, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks, 104.9 quarterback rating. Jarrett McKinnon, 6
Just a hair below Kirk.
6 catches, 16 yards, rushing.
You
Matt
mean 6
Asiata-
runs, 16 yards.
Did I say? Yeah. 6
Six
carries,
catches.
16 yards. Matt
Yeah.
Asiata, 9 carries, 13 yards. As a team, they were 21 of 47 for 2.2 yards per carry, which is actually half a yard less than they averaged
Yeah.
about 2.7 yards per carry. Somehow they got worse than that. They're just a terrible rushing
Well,
team.
Folks
they
at
had a
home,
couple
they
of
are
good runs,
on-
but we blew them up in the backfield more often than not.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's doing that. They are on pace for one of the worst
Yeah.
historical NFL rushing attacks
And-
ever, and this did not help.
And Minnesota had some guy, maybe you guys noticed him. It took a while. Stephon Diggs, heard of him? He had...
Oh yeah, it rings a distant bell.
Yeah, he had only
somewhere.
he didn't have his stats weren't that good. Only 13 catches, 164 yards, 15 targets. Could be better. Kyle Rudolph also had a good game, 5 catches, 69 yards. He seemed like he was all over the place. Cordarrelle Patterson, 3 catches, 17 yards. It goes down from there. Why the heck wasn't Josh Norman shadowing Stephon Diggs? Somebody help me.
Well, we know, and I don't agree with this. We know Barry has said he doesn't want Norman playing in the slot for whatever reason. Maybe he's more of a liability in the run. I don't know. And so they basically just put Diggs in the slot the whole time and had him going man-to-man with Filler. I think the better question we should be asking is, with all the different corners we have on this roster, and we have some good talent going deep onto the roster here, why weren't we trying somebody else? Why weren't we trying, Dunbar, who's got some good size, and maybe that could be a bit of a mismatch for them size-wise? Why don't we try the veteran Toller? There are so many other guys that could have... listen, I don't think Fuller's a bust or anything. He's a rookie. He's still learning. It's fine. He's going to have a game like this or two. But he was obviously in some kind of mismatch where he can't play Diggs. And we need to... You really need to be able to adjust within at least the first half, and they didn't.
Barry's not good at adjusting. He never has been.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No,
look,
it took him 4 games to realize to not play corners left, right all the time.
I mean, I hear you about, he's got some weird hang-up about Josh Norman's slot, but for Christ's sake, when a guy has 164 yards out of the slot, maybe we ought to put our $75 million corner, break down, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, Joe, and put Norman man up, man-to-man on the slot, on the slot.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. I was just giving that as kind of like a reason, I think.
Oh, I know. I'm just making a plea to Joe Barry. Please get a little creative, for Christ's sake. Get creative.
On that note, I would say that it seemed like Breland was on Rudolph a lot too, early in the game at least, which seemed like a bit of a mismatch there. And then also, who was it? Foster and
Compton.
Oh, Jesus,
who are you talking about?
I can't remember Compton. Yeah, I can't remember. It was they were isolating. I'm having a brain fart on his name. I'll come back to it. It was Jarek McKinnon was having a payday basically on one of our linebackers.
Yeah. Well, or were you thinking Rudolph?
Early in the game? I'm talking real early. It didn't continue that way.
Okay. I'm with you.
But I think in general what we're saying is here matchups didn't seem to be optimized. Is that a fair way to say it?
I think that's a nice way to put it, yeah.
Well, that's a diplomatic way to put it, at least.
It comes back to, Joe really likes this, he really likes a 4-3 front with a cover 3 zone scheme, single high safety, and he almost never varies from that. He goes to the nickel a lot, when we have to, but it's still the same setup. I just don't understand how an NFL coach would be that uncreative, and far be it for me to criticize because I'm not a coach, but from sitting here from the cheap seats on the couch.
That's what we come here to do.
Yeah, sitting here from the cheap seats on the couch, it's just the most uncreative defensive scheme ever. And listen, this Minnesota offense is terrible, okay? Now I see why
Truly
Sam
terrible.
Bradford has such a high quarterback rating, because he and Kirk Cousins are a lot alike. In the way they play. Bradford does a series of dump-offs into the flats over and over and over and over again, and flat passes to the running back over and over and over and over again.
Safe. Bradford's got a little bit stronger of an arm, but he plays the same kind of football.
But he misses a lot downfield. I mean, he hit a couple on us, but he missed more than he hit. Terrible misses too. High floaters, short, long. Bradford is kind of Kirk Cousins. I think Bradford could play well in our system if we ever. Not that I'm advocating this. Don't misunderstand me. But if the tables are turned, I think Bradford would probably do pretty well in the Redskins system.
I don't think that's an outlandish statement to make at all.
No,
I think you're totally right.
We're just going to get criticism. Oh my God! Steve's trying to say we got to cut Kirk Cousins, bring Bradford in. That's not what I'm saying. No. It's just a comparison.
And but I would point out, I think historically Bradford has never really played a West Coast offense. I think. He's all, you think of Norv Turner. Norv Turner wasn't a West Coast guy.
Well, I think they're doing it because their offensive line.
Thing now.
They're doing it because their offensive line sucks, terrible.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah,
right.
And
one. Go ahead.
No, I was done. Cut you off.
One curious thing I would have, and I don't know if you have this number, Steve. You may very well not, but we are one of the worst teams on third down.
Yeah.
On stopping teams on third down.
Yep.
Did that improve today at all, just out of curiosity? I believe you're about 50% shot of making a third down conversion.
Yeah,
year.
I didn't keep track of that today for this, but just the observation is, the Vikings do so bad on first and second downs. Every possession seemed like they were third and long,
right,
third and 6,
right.
third and 10,
right.
third and 12 constantly. And I can tell you that, if you give me a second, I'll go through here and try and figure it out.
I was actually going to try and look it up myself to see it.
Well, I'll just look through my notes here because I got one punt.
Oh, okay. You have it listed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was told there'd be no math.
It's all right. Yeah.
I mean, they punted, several times.
We had a lot of third and long opportunities here, and we blew a couple of them on penalties, which annoys me.
Classic Redskins.
Yeah.
Classic Redskins.
Yeah,
especially 2016.
I hate it when it's like it's 3rd and 15 and we got a 5-yard penalty first down.
Yeah.
We did pretty good on penalties today, though. I only counted 4.
But 2 of them were on 3rd and something.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
now
penalties.
The Vikings punted 5 times, and then they
Right.
turned one more over on the interception, the Preston Smith interception. And so, and they had a
P.
total
Smith.
of...
Doing his best Ryan Kerrigan impression there, batting the ball down and
they
catching
had
Tipped
himself.
it up to himself, and he caught it.
They had 10. The Vikings had 10 total possessions in this game. 5 of them ended in a punt, and almost every one of them was third and long. So I think that answers your question, Sean. Without, adding them up, we did pretty well on third down efficiency today.
Yeah, probably against our stats went up against a bad team.
Yeah,
basically is what happened there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I agree.
Okay.
But
right.
you brought up the interception by Smith. He had himself a great game.
Yeah,
he did.
He sure did.
Okay, that first sack was kind of gifted to him by, I guess, it was Murphy who forced the pressure initially, and Bradford ran Smith. But still,
those guys work well as a tandem. We've seen that before this year.
You come away with 2 sacks and interception. That's 3 big plays by Smith.
And he's been absent for long stretches of the year too, so it's good to see that Smith had a good game, and it's good to see him back to kind of his form from last year, at least for 1 week.
There was something I saw on Twitter
absolutely.
and this was somebody watching the Gruden press conference, and Gruden was saying that they really got on Smith this week. This whole bye week, they really were like, dude, you got to focus again, kind of like what happened last year, where I guess it was Knighton and some of the more senior players who really pushed him to work harder. It sounds like it was the coaching staff this week who took on that role.
Well, yeah, and he had a good game. Listen, it was due, and he made the play of the game. For without a doubt, he saved the game. Because I think all Redskins fans have seen this movie. Of the team driving down the field, they're in field goal position, and even as early, as late as 2013 and before, that would have been a field goal or a touchdown. The Redskins would have lost the game, and instead, the Vikings had the whole big holding penalty there, which, cost them 10 yards. But at the end of the day, we had 2 sacks, and that saved the game. It's very un-Redskins like from a few years ago. But we've won a couple of games like this now where teams have had the ball driving to the winning score and we stopped them. So we're turning a corner.
And the last 3 weeks have all kind of come down to that last drive.
Yeah.
Or the last 3
That's
games.
right.
I shouldn't say 3 weeks because of the bye week. But, yeah.
Yeah, and this one, and other than the last 2, this one worked out well for us. Yeah.
Well, I think Satan has sucked the souls out of Redskins fans enough, maybe. And maybe we're turning a corner on this kind of thing. Finally.
I think
Fingers
there's
crossed.
still some PTSD with Redskins fans when it comes to some of this stuff. Just watching people's reactions on Twitter, you definitely get that vibe.
Well, I think everybody knew what was going to happen, right? We all thought, okay, this is it. Because we're
crossed my mind,
Yeah, it
fellas.
crossed my mind for sure. And they almost got it done.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to do? We have any concluding thoughts on defense? Should we get out some game balls here, or
I think it's game
what should we do,
balls time.
folks? Let's give out some game biggity balls. So I'll go first. I'll jump on that. Okay, so here's what I'll say. I think that we talked about all 3 guys I wanted to mention: Vernon Davis, Rob Kelly, and Preston Smith. Just because the running game has been what it is, I'm going to give it to Rob Kelly.
Okay.
Because I like the fact that we might have a new potential every down back that could do something for us, at least more than the last guy could. Yeah. So interesting to see how it turns out, but I'm going to give it to him. 100 yards ain't nothing to bat an eye at for this team this year.
Okay. Want me to go next? You're going next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of go wild card here. Well, it's
Sweet.
not that wild of a card, but I said in the beginning, it's going to come down to special teams and turnovers.
Special.
So I'm going to say Hopkins came back from what was kind of a struggle game the last few weeks. And he was,
That's
4
fair.
for 4, and a couple of them were from 50 yards out plus. So
The Duster.
I'm going to give it to the Duster.
Nice.
I think that is really candidate. The names I wrote down at the end of the game for my player of the game candidates were Smith, Kelly, Hopkins, and Kirk Cousins.
That's a fair list.
Yeah, I think those are the players to me. And of those, I got to give it to Preston Smith. He had the key sack. A very critical interception. It was his first game. It was a
really
first
good game for him.
First game in a long time. He's had a really good game. And at the end of the day, he saved the game-tying field goal because they were without a doubt going to kick a field goal, attempt a field goal before that last sack. So I think Preston Smith gets my game ball today.
All right.
Nice. Okay. Three different answers for three worthy guys. Good game.
And we went offense, defense, special teams.
There you go.
Yeah, see? That's awesome. Nice. We're covering all our bases. Yeah. So glad to be back here with you folks at home on the winner's wagon, and we will keep it rolling into next week against Green Bay for sure. Lots of big changes coming for the Hogsty soon, ladies and gentlemen. We've got lots of fun, exciting announcements to make. I don't know if I should say anything now or not, guys.
Steve,
I'll keep mum. Mum's the word.
Vigorously, so
yeah, let's not.
Steve either had a seizure or definitely doesn't want me to, so I'll be mum on that.
Let's just save that. Let's keep
the
people in suspense for another week or so.
All right.
That's fair. Big stuff, exciting stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to be going through this whole journey with you. We'll see you next time here on the Hogsty. See you next week.
I was not having a seizure.